Hello everybody, my name is Bojan Jovanovic, and in today's video I would like to show you some features regarding Business Central, and we're going to combine manufacturing module and warehouse module using bins in Business Central. So let's see what are the goals of our video. Goals of our video is to combine bin setup on work centers with flushing methods for materials, defining default bins for items, and linking operations with components on manufacturing work orders for optimizing warehouse peak per days. We have one, let's say, model of our company, and let's see assumptions of our model. We will do on furniture producing company. We are only producing when items are ordered from customers. That means that the manufacturing policy is per order. Finished goods are assembled from two sub-assembly items. We are going to use setup bins on work center card. We are also going to use setup on bin content on item card, and we are going to use routing links to link components with operations. If we put it like in the picture, this is our process of manufacturing in our company. So we have our first warehouse where our raw materials are stored. Then we have like two operations, like two separate departments in manufacturing. First one is wood department, second one is metal department. In wood department, we have operations like cutting the plank, edge bending the plank, and painting it. Then we are going to get painted white board for the table. And in the meantime, in the metal department, we are going to have cutting the metal bars, then welding it, and creating a sub-assembly item called the metal bars for the table. When we put these two sub-assembly items at the assembly department, we're going to have our finished good that is called white table with metal legs. Now let's switch to the Business Central to see how we can do this setup in Business Central. This is our Business Central. We have this is in V25 version, and let's see it here in the demo how we use this setup. First thing, we are going to the items and check which items we are going to use and set up on those items. Let's start from the raw materials that we are going to use. So we have a couple of raw materials. This is the MDF plank, edge band, white paint, and metal bars. Let's see what is the setup on those items. If we open the item, this is our MDF plank that we're going to cut it, so we can create a tabletop for the table. We can see that a replenishment system is purchased, and we can see that flushing method is pick plus backward. That means that for consumption at work orders, we need to pick this item, and flushing method backwards means that flushing of these items will be posted when we post the related operation for this plank. This will come in handy later. I will explain this also. Similar is also for the other items for raw materials. It is also purchased and it is also pick plus backward. Edge band is the band that you put on the plank, like on the borders of that plank. Similar is also for the paint and for the metal bars. I will not show it that. Now let's go to our sub-assembly items. First one is painted white board for the table. And we see here that replenishment system is production order. That means that we need to produce our item. Manufacturing policy is make to order because we are only going to produce this sub-assembly when we are producing our finished good, and our finished goods we are only producing when someone orders it. It has routing and production BOM. Let's see back to the routing. We see that we have three operations: cutting the plans, edge bending, and paint, and we have some runtime for it. And the important thing that we have a routing link code that is important. Why? As you can see, I have a couple of these routing link codes. I have named it similar to the name of the operation, so it will be easier to show it here. So for the first operation, routing link is cut wood, for the edge band is edge band, and for the paint is painting. Why this routing link is important? Because when we go here back to the production BOM for the materials that we are going to use, we have also that similar field routing link code. So we have MDF plank, the edge band, and the white band. That means that is important later in the work order. That means that we are going to use operation cutting the wood. That means we're going to use the MDF plank. When we are going to use a machine on work center edge band, we need the edge band raw materials. When we are going to do painting, we need to have white paint at our disposal. So with the routing link code, I have linked raw materials that I need on the production BOM with the operations that I have set up on the routing. Next one here that is very important is flushing method. I have put it backward. Why backward? Not pick plus backward, because this item is produced. I don't need to go back to the warehouse area to pick it. Then it will be already produced on our assembly line. And important thing is on related warehouse bin content, I have defined default bin content for my item for location Belgrade, where I will going to produce my items. And our default bin code is VC006. It's called assembly. That means that default bin for this item is assembly department or assembly bin. This will come in handy later when we are going to create our work order. Similar is also for Metal X for the table. It also has production order, make to order, and similar as to for routing production BOM. I have two operations, and I also have some routing link code to combine raw material with operations. And flushing method is also backward. And when I go to the warehouse, to the bin content, you can see the default is also assembly bin. And finally, we have our white table with Metal X. That is our finished good that we are selling to our customers. Have also production order. I have a make to order manufacturing policy. Flushing method in this situation is not important because I do not flush finished goods. Have routing, that is some assembly work center, and I have a production BOM that uses two sub-assembly item, Metal X and painted white board. When I go to the warehouse to bin content, I can see that I have also defined some default bin, and that default bin is called FG or finished goods bin on my location Belgrade. Now I will go back. I will go to the location to see what kind of setup I have at that location. I will produce everything on the Belgrade location. As you can see, I have put on the production consumption warehouse handling warehouse pick mandatory. I have bin mandatory, and I have a couple of bins. For every work center, I have defined one bin, work center 001, 002, 003, and etc. So it can be easily tracked to the system. I have a warehouse storage for raw materials, and I have a finished goods item, and I have opened some bins for open shop locations. Next important setup for using bins is on work center cards. If we go to the work center, I have opened a couple of work centers that you have seen previously on the routings for items. And the important thing is on the work center card is this tab warehouse. I have defined warehouse location code Belgrade, the location which we're going to produce our items. And I have defined two production bin code. What is to production bin code? It is bin code that is defined when we are going to when our operation is on VC001 work center. That means all components will need to be picked from the warehouse to this location. That means when we're going to use our cutting the planks, our planks are going to be picked from the warehouse location to this VC001 location. If we have edge bending, we are going to move it from the location, from the warehouse bin to the production bin code VC002 to flush it from that bin code. Now I'm going to create one sales order to see it and to create a release production order to see how we're going to flush our components. So I choose the customer, then on item list I will choose my white table. I will choose location Belgrade and I will put 1 so it would be easier to track. I will set actions, planning, and from here I can create a released production order. I can go back to the release production orders and to CR15. Now, what do we have on our release production order? On our general tab, we have our white table with metal X on quantity of 1. And if we see the lines, we have our finished good item that we are saying that is by our white table with metal X. And we can see here bin code FG. Why is that important? You saw it a little bit before that we have defined that bin code on item related warehouse bin contents. We have defined here that is our default bin code for that item. Now, since our finished goods is sub-assembled for items 2 and 3, for lines 2 and 3, we also have our sub-assembly items that are metal X for the table and painted whiteboard for the table. Once more to recapitulate, we are producing our finished goods. On general fast tab, I have our finished good item and quantity of 1. And on the lines, on the first line, I have my finished good items, white table with metal X. And on the lines 2 and 3, I have my sub-assembly items that we are going also to produce here on the same released production order. As we can see, we have bin code for that items VC006 and VC006. Why? As we saw it before, because we have defined that bin code as our default bin code on our item card. Now let's check components for our items. If we go to the painted whiteboard for table, we can go to the components. So here you can see our components. We have our FDF plank, we have our edge band, and we have our white paint. And we have our flushing method that is pick, pass, backward. And we can see that the bin code for all these items are different. And how does he know that for this one we use VC001, 2, and 3? But because of here routing link code cut wood. Because of our routing link code column. If we go also back to the routings, we have also here routing link code, and we have our to production bin code. That to production bin code has been transferred to this bin code. That is similar for our metal X for the table. If we go to the routing, we have two production bin codes 4 and 5. Here we have routing link code. On the components, we have a bin code VC004. One more important thing is it's called due date. If you go back to the painted whiteboard for the table, and we go back to the routing. Routing have different starting and end time. That means this operation will start on 29th of December, this one 2nd December, 29th of November, 2nd December, and 3rd December. And if we, because of the routing link code, if we go back to the components, that due date has also been transferred here to the MDF plank, edge bed, and to the white paint. Why is that important? It is important when we are going to do planning for our warehouse picks. Let's assume that we're going to use pick worksheet, and we're going to our warehouse document. We can see these are here are components, and every of these components have different due dates. So we have here 4 different due dates. If we select them as a create pick per due date, it will create here 4 different picks for our released release production order. Why is that important? But it is important that when we are going to optimize warehouse picks, because today we're going to pick just one component, on the next day we're going to pick second, and etc. So we can optimize flow of the inventory and the raw materials through our manufacturing floor. We can find here related order, put away pick lines. We can show here the documents, and we're gonna post all these to register all these picks. We can see here that due date is 22nd of November. We're going to register pick. Then we are going to second pick, and etc. So what we have done here, we have done our picks. How we can know that our picks has been done? On components, we have quantity picked. Now it is 40. That means that we have completely picked our components. And the next thing is to post this output of this production order. How are we going to post this production order? We are going to post this production order to go to the production journal. As you can see, on production journal, we only have output types: cutting plans, edge bending, and painting. But we do not have our consumption. So let's see what will happen if we only post the output quantity on cutting the planks. We're going to post it just that. Let's see what has happened in the related entries, item ledger entries. As you can see, it has automatically did the consumption of MDF plank. Why is that? But because of our setup. It is on the MDF plank we had pick plus backward flushing method. Pick means that we need to do picking that we have done, and next thing that we need that component is going to be flushed backward. What does backward flushing means? That means that those components will going to be flashed when we are finished with the production order, or in our case, because we have a routing link on, when we finish the operation that is linked to. Because we have only finished our first operation, cutting the planks, it has automatically did the flushing of linked component. Now we are going to post the remaining operations. That's the edge bending and paint. We're going to post it. Now what has happened, if we go to the related order and entries, it has a consumption of white paint, the edge bend remaining components, but it has also an output of painted white board. That is our sub-assembly item. If we go to the warehouse entries, we can see that we have couple of movements and negative adjustments. First, we have a movement from our warehouse for our components to move it from the warehouse to the our to our production floor. And next, we have our consumption of raw materials and positive adjustment of our sub-assembly item on being called the VC006. Similar, we're going to do for the metal X. We're going to post it. Just to check it once more, the similar will happen. We have metal bar that is consumption and output for metal X. And on the warehouse entries, we have a negative adjustment of our raw materials and positive adjustment on our sub-assembly items. And our final step is for our finished good. We will also go to the production journal. We will also put post just for the assembly. If we go to the entries, item ledger entries, we can see that we have now consumption of our sub-assembly items, and we have now output of our painted white table with metal X. If we go to the warehouse entries, we can see that we have negative adjustment of from the VC06 our assembly department, and we have our positive adjustment on our bin code finished goods with the item that is for our finished goods. So this is the setup and use how can use flushing, how we can combine flushing methods with bin codes on the advanced warehousing setup. And the final thing is to change the status of this release production order to finished. Thank you very much. This is my first video regarding the Business Central. Please leave a like, share, and comment, and hope you to see you in the next episode of Business Central.